Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts on Citizen TV. Today's guest is Senate Speaker Ekwe Ethuro, and before the break we had a heated conversation about how we resolve the teachers' strike, and that touched on the relevance of the Senate. But the Senate is also facing this issue of its counties not receiving the disbursements on time. Governors are petitioning you to force the executive to release the money. I think there's a backlog of about 3 months. Does that not speak to your powerlessness, your helplessness to make things work for counties?
I think good work. I'm sure you are not going to turn this show into bashing the Senate. Would an advocate be powerless? Or is it the one who is supposed to disburse the money? If you are talking about powerlessness or incompetence, then you should refer to the National Treasury, not to the Senate. Our job is to ensure that the county, the devolved level of government and the national government actually work in harmonious. So when you have this kind of, actually to me, it proves that we are very relevant. Because without the national institution protecting and representing counties as given, as mandated to us by the Constitution actually, you could imagine instead of 3 months, it would 6 months, it could be 1 year, making the services of the counties completely collapse. So I think governors are doing the right thing by saying we have a problem. Which institution is there to help us? Is the Senate, petition Senate. Our job is now to summon the National Treasury to explain and ensure that the money is disbursed in a timely manner.
And what explanation have they given you?
And we have a lot of that fact. What they're saying is that, as you know, they also rely on the collection of taxes. So when the remittances are slow, they are also slow in disbursements. And so we want to enter into an agreement where they can be able, and traditionally you must also appreciate the end of the financial year and the beginning of the financial year has always been problematic. I would be worried about this problem now as we go into the second quarter, if it persists.
But it was a problem last year, it's a problem this year, and you're talking about if it persists. It's happened twice so far, so isn't it a persistent problem? I'm
telling you, it has been happening since independence. It's only that now at least we have an active media, we have institutions of governance that are now alive and working. You know, everybody's communicating, and I'm saying it's a problem. It's a problem that we must all try to resolve.
I guess the point, Speaker, is
we gave the opportunity through the Public Finance Management Act. You remember actually when we started, we were giving counties like 3 months. Then we realized the quarterly disbursements, once delayed, are even worse. So now we actually amended the law so that it's easier for them to make the disbursements monthly. And the whole idea was to arrest the situation before it gets out of hand.
All right, so things are, you know, sort of normalizing now. Because I think the concern here is that you as the defenders, or the Senate as the defender of counties and devolution, not defender but, you know, the face of it, ought to be more vocal in support of the counties, especially when problems they're having, such as lack of funds or remittance to them from the Treasury. But the counties and the governors seem to be groping around without anywhere to touch. You know, the trained Treasury, they're being condemned for not being effective and so forth, pending bills and the pressures they are facing. So they expect that you are the parent who will actually convene and order, if not pressure, the national government to release the funds to them. That is not happening efficiently.
I was about to say I can't agree more, except the last words you added, not happening efficiently. Quite to the contrary. The finance chair, Senator Bilo Kero, is doing a wonderful job. We, of course, governors, through the council, I would say they feel the heat. So they really feel the heat in terms of all the issues you have raised, the tenders, procurement, you know. They feel it, so they are easier to communicate. even when the processes are ongoing. Doesn't mean that the processes are not going because they are talking. They are just talking because the public needs to know, and they're also hoping that will put pressure to bear on the relevant institutions of the National Executive to respond to their needs. But it does not mean that the Senate is not doing enough to solve the problem, because at the end of the day, we'll get Rotich coming before the Senate explaining himself, and orders would be made.
What about the other side of the coin? Governors and having removed corruption. We have heard of wheelchairs that are costing 100,000. We have heard of gates that are costing 13 million shillings.
Curtains?
And some curtain in some hospital costing this amount of money. What is the Senate going to, or what is the Senate doing to curb corruption in the county government?
I think we must agree that corruption is a national crisis. It happens at all levels of government. We have, and I think I like your question, we have, of course, kind of a bigger interest at both levels, but more importantly because county governments are new, and if you have heard me and many of our senators, we argue about corruption is not a devolved function. We have made that one abundantly clear. Now, one other source in which we fight corruption at the county government's level is through the auditor reports, the Auditor General. And you remember when we started interrogating the governors on those reports, they took us to court. So that process was put in abeyance in a way, because we really thought at the very initial level, if we started engaging the governors, and really they had nothing to fear whatsoever, because we only knew, something new, you have challenges, but if we started that partnership at that level, because Parliament works on the basis of the technical reports by the Auditor General, because they go there, they give us the reports. Actually, those reports, sometimes people think, we are witch hunting. We are not. We are acting on audited accounts. And so that opportunity at least has been slowed a bit, and that's why you hear those kind of issues coming up. But now the court process, the judiciary actually came to our side. And Mr. Mutega, I think you must appreciate that every matter we have gone to court, we have always won.
Okay.
The other day, because we read our constitution properly.
I want to be clear about your corruption fighting. You're saying that in terms of tackling corruption at the counties, you are guided by the Auditor General's reports. It's a more, there could be other things, of course, of going here, but the auditor report to me is really the Bible,
the foundation.
That is because that matter has been already interrogated by a separate arm from Parliament. So by the time it comes to Parliament, it's just no longer. Actually, Parliament is one other opportunity for the county governments or the national, the PSS to come and give one more time to explain a few things. And of course, still in the presence of the Auditor General, so that if they produce some documents as they do, sometimes Parliament will tell them you have explained yourself. If not, we now refer them to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
You have mentioned a very important thing about investigations and inquiries, that you need technical reports. Sometimes you wonder why is those Senate committees investigating things they cannot. I'm giving an example earlier about Kenya Airways. The Senate Committee on Finance, I think, is Anyang Nyong. They purported to inquire how Kenya Airways collapsed. And they go and they call the former executive and the executives. And they are given information which is totally irrelevant. That the reason why it collapsed is because Miraa was not exported, or because of Ebola, or because of security. Yet, it is well known that those fellows formed companies to steal from there. And the report was written by the Nairobi Lawman.
Right. I think you have to be careful with that, because you're quoting information from the Nairobi Law Monthly.
Yes. They haven't sued them.
Right. They haven't sued them, but you could be sued. We don't know. But the point I'm making, yes, we don't know anything. What we do know, the speculation, yes.
The point I'm making is this. Senate cannot, of itself, without research, without any point. In fact, when the Auditor General was here, And they said, you need to do that before. You can't just wake up and do investigation. In fact, there's many people perceive that the reason why they do it is because of rent seeking.
Let me explain this. One is newspaper reports or magazines are not admissible in Parliament. Two, the information the source of information you are referring to is one source. When committees of Parliament and both houses interrogate a matter, now you call as many people concerned for that particular. In fact, the Constitution is very clear that you can invite or summon any person. It's really any person. But of course, you confine to the people who are relevant, including now the former CEO. But there are other people who have been interviewed even before the former CEO came in, including the acting CS for transport himself, who was quite happy with the issues that the committee was raising. But back to the fundamental question of maybe before I come there, then you know the committee will look at all these representations and then will make, you know, even in the court, some witnesses can be declared hostile. So it doesn't, you can bring them and we determine. Now, but the fundamental issue is this one, Parliament now, and I think I should enlist you as a supporter of Parliament. We have been also seeking our own capacity. And so fortunately, I think that process really, in the 8th Parliament, the 9th Parliament, we were able to achieve. And in the 10th Parliament, we created a directorate. So there is a library and research directorate. We have employed very competent personnel that actually can do research and support the work of committees. But in terms of the technical one, you see, like CRA is a commission whose job in terms of the formula sharing for counties' revenue, actually they do it and present to Parliament. So we work on a technical, because Parliament will not have time to go seek information from anybody except to interrogate a particular matter. Two, on the Auditor General. In fact, all the scandals in this country that have been unearthed were done through the Public Accounts Committee. You remember Goldenberg? Yeah. You remember Anglo-Leasing? Before, you know, when a member raised the matter, members of the Public Accounts Committee invited the Auditor General to do a special audit. Part of the reason why this country should be angry that the Auditor General is not getting enough money is basically on the basis of that, because the Auditor General reports inform the county assemblies, they inform the National Assembly, and they inform the Senate. Because one, you don't want a situation where, you know, there is witch hunt. You want a situation where the job is done by professionals first. And let's give credit to the Office of the Auditor General. I mean, even at the time of single party era,
he did his job.
He did his job. You remember the long serving
D. Njoroge.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for that office. Yeah. Yes.
There's a problem, though, with the investigations of the work done by Senate. There is the matter of parallel investigation. Now, why, for example, did Senate show interest in the KQ matter? And will also the National Assembly do the same? So this duplication of roles, people are wondering the more reason why they are saying dissolve or abolish the Senate.
Why not the National Assembly?
Or because the members of those committees want some kickback.
The mandate of the Senate is smaller compared to the mandate of the National Assembly. So you delete the smaller brother, according to this logic.
I think you are using the flawed logic of management that when you retrench, the last in should be the first out. But yeah, I will address that matter, and is a clearer matter. The mandate of both houses as we speak now is that you can investigate on any matter. This happens in all bicameral systems where you have this kind of arrangement like ours. It can happen in Canada. It happens in the US. It happens in France. It happens in Germany. You know, you are, by the way, seeking the truth. You want to get to the bottom of a problem. There is absolutely no harm, in my view, when both houses are working on a particular matter. You will be shocked. We have not reached. We have not even reached there. Yeah. I mean, Kenya Airways is a national matter. We started the interrogation of the Kenya Airways. You should be asking the other house why they jumped onto what we had started. Well, the process that they could wait. You see, with the way we do, any house can actually originate even a bill. Yes. And then you process as one house, it goes to the other. Yeah. You see. So your problem should be, the problem should not be with the Senate, because the Senate originated the matter. Yes, it's true. Yes. But then if you look at... So if the Senate realized it, you know, today we have spent a lot of my time, which I came here for Parliament Week, but you have spent on teacher strike, asking us why we did not respond to it, what are we thinking about it. Now on a matter that we are proactive, you are not giving us credit.
Okay, and I want to ask you then, being as it's Parliament Week, your response suggests that your relationship as a bicameral legislature is not as harmonious, is not as cordial as it should be.
Of course, that's in the public domain. It's not harmonious. We are working on it to make it a bit better. Yes.
But are you not then costing us money? Are you not costing taxpayers money?
Even if it were harmonious, I would imagine such lapses taking place. I think it's the way we want to treat it as a problem. To me,
these lapses,
it's just a challenge.
But these lapses cost us money, do they not? These lapses
they do cost money. Who tells you democracy is cheap? Right.
And then you have teachers looking for money, and we say we don't have money, and yet we have these sorts of things that we could, these loopholes that we could seal that would ensure that we have more money in national coffers.
But see, this narrative of making the field shut down. Now I'm telling you, even the 50% that is being proposed, if the motion goes through, you know, question we should be asking ourselves: how much is needed to pay teachers? How much is needed to pay the entire public service? Can we sit down, and I think that was a proposal even Makali was considering, can we now sit down and say, we need 17 billion from teachers, where will it come from? We need maybe, if the teachers now reach that level, in terms of parity in the public service, what additional resource will be required for others? You have had nurses going on strike, you have had doctors going on strike, then we also say, where is this other money coming from? I think that's the dilemma in this crisis. So, and that is why we are saying, you know, piecemeal. Just saying, oh, don't investigate KQ. KQ is also our national carrier. We must have it up and running.
It is this whole, we need, I think the call here is for a neater, more hygienic way of doing politics and leadership. That one, the mandate of the Senate then needs to be confined to certain things and stay there. Because otherwise, if you have this dual mandate, which is also being handled by the National Assembly, the likelihood of the National Assembly commencing its own investigation into KQ or any other matter for that case, and coming up with a different finding from the Senate, there's a possibility like that.
Oh, yes.
All right? And then two, which is why I'm saying, shouldn't you be saying, let's stick to our business of looking after the three things that we are charged with in the Constitution and leave the rest of the world to the National Assembly. So that's why Mutegi is saying there is an apparent appetite to acquire more interest or more in matters that are not necessarily within the domain of the Senate.
I think Mr. Magala would want a session off camera to dedicate this panel on the role of the Senate. Senate is a national institution. It has many functions, including oversighting national government. So if we have put resources into Kenya Airways, that's a matter of interest to us.
But your basic thing is to oversight.
That's why you go wrong.
Counties.
It is not. It is just one of the many things we do. It is one of the many things you do. It's an important thing, and it's an important thing in the sense that because we have a new arrangement constitutionally in terms of devolution. Yeah. So that we have, you know, these young babies require more delicate. Yeah. But that doesn't stop by investigating. So should the Kenya Airways matter, we have abandoned the others.
So should we not be exploring joint investigations or joint approaches to these things rather than independent?
That's a good suggestion.
And then my final question on that matter of investigations.
Yeah, but
sorry, go ahead and respond.
Yes. No, there was the matter you raised about that you could actually investigate and get different
conclusions.
Completely, perfectly in order. You see, these are democratic institutions. Mr. Mutegi has just told you one witness that he felt maybe was not giving the proper information. One house might buy that argument. Another house might buy the opposite argument of Mutegi Njau. All these reports come to the public. It enriches the debate. It advises whoever is supposed to take action on the basis of what evidence was taken, what was investigated, what were the findings. It can only enrich our democracy.
Do you find it frustrating that...
Except he had another issue.
Oh, sorry. No, it's still on this.
It's on the same matter, yes.
Right, because you do seem frustrated that you constantly have to justify the existence of the Senate.
No, I am actually not frustrated. I am just, I am frustrated by you today.
Our inability to appreciate.
Your inability to appreciate. And keeping asking, translating every matter into our... he has said the reason why Senate should be dissolved. He said we should not be doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have heard from you until now on what we should do. It is that frustration that I said. I came here for public week, parliamentary week, not for...
Okay.
Yes.
On your oversight
but
role,
it also gives me an opportunity to prove to you otherwise.
Yeah. The oversight role. So do you get the reports, and the main report that you base your inquiry on is the Auditor General's report?
Absolutely.
Of course, there is the need. People think that there is need for greater and shorter and quicker intervention in the things going wrong with the counties, whether it's corruption or whatever, than waiting for the Auditor General's report way later, which is, you know, when things have happened already. And then again, the second thing is, so what? You make these findings, you take them further for inquiry or investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Is there any way things can terminate at the Senate and recommendations issue and action, you know, takes place?
There are many things that you can advise. You know, not all things are resulting to theft of public money or corruption. You have matters of systems and procedures. You have administrative matters. Usually, after the Senate has made a report on the Auditor General report, there are certain recommendations that various actors are supposed to play. Then you expect if the national government areas to do with the national government. There is a memoranda which they reply saying we have acted on the following. The ones that we send to the ESCC are those ones now on corruption. So that is the process. Two, I just want to plead with all of us. I think we need to be a bit patient. I think we are running out of patience, expecting a Mr. Fix-It. In human enterprise, you cannot determine right and wrong at the same time. You need a thorough process. You know, these are careers of people. These are names. These are issues. That's why you want a process where the Auditor General team goes to the county, investigates the matter. By the way, there are many issues that the Auditor General, if satisfied, usually the Auditor General will even give them, they will make the first report to the relevant, if it is PS or the county government. And you have given another 3 months to reply to those pending issues. Actually, what you see coming to the Houses of Parliament is something that the implementing agencies have not acted upon. And so it's that elaborate process that goes through. So to me, 1 year is not, Mr. Magali, is not in public finance. It's not a long time. It's a very short time.
Okay, we have to take a break now. This is Cheche. We're live on Citizen TV. Our SMS number is 22422. And if you're using Twitter, you can use the hashtag Cheche.